Greetings, everyone. This is Gary DeGrazia, Senior eXp Real Estate, and I appreciate you taking the time to come to my webinar today. Today's focus is how we earn 5 different ways with off-market probate homes and a little bit about what is probate. Now, I promise you, I'm going to open your eyes on a niche that you probably haven't been taken advantage of that I have for over 30 years. At the end of this, you're going to be able to make a decision if you see value that you want to add this to your production, and we're going to give you some options on how to do that. So just stay with us for about 30 minutes, maybe 35. Understand what we're saying here, and once we're done, we're going to show you some options and how to take advantage of that if you wish. Now, before we get involved in this, I'd like to just give a little background on myself so you know who I am. So again, I'm Gary D. They call me Mr. Probate. I've been doing real estate in the San Francisco Bay Area for over 43 years right now. Of those 43 years, the last 30 I've been practicing off-market probate home, and for about the last 5 or 6 years, it's been my only niche in real estate. I've got done away with everything else, and I loved it. Now, I've been different franchises all through my 43 years, but around 2000, I hooked up with Remax out of Castro Valley, California, and I was there for about 14 years. Loved it. Had Hall of Fame status there. Loved my location, my brokers. But in 2014, I was approached by eXp Real Estate, one of my probate students from SoCal, and asked if I had an open mind. I took a look at what he had going, and man, it just resonated with me. And after some checking and some research and talking to a few people there, I said it would be almost irresponsible for me not to take advantage, especially being 64 at the time and getting to the twilight years of my selling career, right? I needed a better exit strategy. So I've closed over 500 probate homes, closer to 600 now. I've trained over 4,000 agent brokers and investors nationwide. I also have students in Canada, the UK, and France. And my book, Diamond Farming Probate Real Estate, has been considered by most of the online reviewers as the #1 probate real estate system going. And that is because I earned my living the last 30 years from buying and selling off-market probate homes as an investor and as a real estate agent. First 14 years, 13 years was an investor, buying and selling, and then I put on my real estate hat around 2000. I put it back on, and I started taking advantage of all the deals I was leaving on the table because I was just interested in buying the flip during the first 13 years of this. So you're going to learn all about this. So what I want to get into right now is why should agents look at probate real estate? Now, number one of the best reasons at all that you should be taking a look at this and value this when we're done here is that we're going to teach you how to double end most of your sales in probate off-market homes. And the reason we do this is we're not dealing with the MLS. We're not dealing with property that is listed. We're dealing with estates that have just started probate, and we are marketing to them on a weekly basis, and we're putting together those that want to do something with the property now, and that's going to give us now business early in the stages of the probate, and those that are going to do something later on during the probate or after final distribution when everything is over with. And this gives us enough business that you're going to be able to double end a lot of these properties, especially in a hot market like we've been, because buyers are sick of the MLS and the way we market and get buyers to come to us for these off-market probate homes. Their agents that they're working with have no clue how to do this, so they come to us, and then we match them up when a probate property matches their parameters. Unbelievable. We take a lot of listings because a lot of the times when we can't give the estate what they want from our investor, because the first approach is looking at if they want an all cash as is offer, and then we go through the other options and we work up through 5. If they decide that, no, I don't want to do this, what's the next one? We go through them all. And what will happen is if we can't do a buy that we're going to buy as is, all cash to fix it, and we don't have a buyer to double end it right then normally the next and only logical thing to do is to talk to them about putting it on the MLS, that ugly word, MLS, so we can expose it to the world and see if we can get the price that they're hoping for. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. We really don't want listings. We want double end sales, but they do come just as a natural flow of this business. You're going to have less competition. Most of the agents around where you work have no clue on how to get probate properties, how to get them out of probate, how to close them. They have no clue that the house across the street for them was a probate that you sold across from their listing. There was never a sign up or anything, but you double ended it and made yourself a $30,000 commission. Okay? Less competition. And there's a steady supply of leads. Every week you will learn how my agents our team agents that we partner with, have access to 40 to 60 new probate cases that have real estate in it every week, week in, week out, every year. About 1,800 to 2,000 homes here in the San Francisco Bay Area where we market to 8 counties. We also have Stanislaus, Merced County. We're going into Stockton, Sacramento now. We're in Chico. We're in Redding. We're in all over SoCal. We're in Las Vegas, Nevada. And we are going into Florida now with a new probate partner that just started there. So we have our own leads. We don't have to go out and pay for expensive leads for these services. And a lot of those leads are going to other agents as well, and buy zip codes and all that. We create our own leads. So we have our own steady supply, and we show our agent partners how to do the same thing. Now, another reason our probate business is not affected by market conditions. It doesn't matter what type, if it's a buyer's market, if it's a seller's market, it doesn't matter. The estates need to liquidate most of the time to pay the cost of the estate, pay all the creditors, and then distribute the assets that are left to the rightful heirs. So it doesn't matter what type of market condition it is. They're going to have to work. Wouldn't you like to have that in your business? Well, we do. We're not affected by the economy. Doesn't matter if it's a good economy and everything's moving smoothly or if it's a down economy. Our probates will sell. There's different clientele for each type of market we're in. And that's what got me through the 2007, 8, and 9 latest recession, real estate collapse, where many of my friend brokers that had offices or big businesses and teams, went belly up. I was able to sail right through because the probates were keeping me steady. And today, that's all I do is probates. I've given up everything else. Now, also, as I mentioned, probate real estate is a consistent source of business the way we do it. We have our researchers in every superior court in every county that we're in. And every week they're feeding documentation to Gary Jr., who organizes everything. We check things, and then we get that up to our website, and then that's accessible to our agent partners, okay? So what is probate? Let's talk about that. Now, all probate is, and all you really need to know about it, is that someone has passed away, they have assets, and for our focus in that asset is real estate. And the family is going to have to go through probate if they're not in a trust in order to clear all the debts of the estate, pay the costs of the court and the estate attorney, and then eventually they'll get to what's called final distribution, and all those assets will be spread out to the rightful heirs. That's all probate is. And we're approaching the estate in regards to the real estate to see what they want to do with it. Do they want to do anything with it? And this brings us now business and future business. Now, there's certain probate players that you're going to have to become familiar with if you're going to be working this business, and we train you how to do this with each of them. These probate players are going to make the difference if you're successful or not when you have an offer that you're presenting or you have a listing that you're going with or whatever. And these players are, first and foremost, the personal rep. This is the person that at the time the petition for probate is filed, the probate is started, that's the person that was elected by the deceased to do this whole horrendous procedure, settle all the affairs, pay all his debts, and get his assets to the rightful heirs the way they wanted them to be. That personal rep, once they're approved by the court, which usually takes 30 days to 45 days, will then become an executor or administrator. That's the same person. Those two names, executor, administrator, is the same person. It's just the executor was appointed by the will, and the administrator was appointed by the court or the family because there was no will. There's going to be heirs that you have to deal with, and we're our interested in heirs that have an interest in the real estate because they could sway the decision to sell to us or not or list with us. Estate attorneys, most probates will have an estate attorney that's handling the probate process. You have to know how to work with that attorney, how to get what you want before the attorney does what they want. And usually that means if the property is going to be sold, they're going to want the estate to list it with their broker. And you don't want that because that means we don't get the deal. And of course, there'll be a probate referee, and a probate referee is just a court-appointed appraiser, not licensed, not certified, who's going to put a value on the assets. Now, the problem with that is these reports, these appraisals are usually wrong, and you have to know what you're doing on those. Now, in probate, there's two processes that we go with when the probate petition is being processed. And this is in regards to the personal rep who's going to have either limited authority or full authority. What that means is if they have limited authority, they can do certain things with the assets of the estate. And that's not good for us because if we're trying to buy the real estate, they have limited authority, we're going to have to go to court. Now, with full authority, that means that they can do anything they want with the assets. And that means whatever deal that we can strike with them, it stops with them, and we just get that deal signed and done, and we don't have to go to court and worry about overbids and all this stuff. Now, the full authority comes along with the Independent Administrations Act that was enacted in 1987, the IAEA, and this changed everything in probate. This took away the court confirmation process, which I'll talk about in a minute, and allowed us as buyers to negotiate any deposit we wanted to. It allowed us to negotiate any price we wanted to. We could close in 35 days or less. There would be no overbids because there was no court confirmation. And any of you that know about court confirmation hearings for probates, it's a fiasco. Now, if you're going through the Independent Administrations of Estates Act with full authority, the title company that you're dealing with is going to require some documentation. First is they're going to want letters of testamentary or of administration. And what this is a certified approval from the court that allows the personal rep, the executor administrator, to sign and do anything they want with the assets. And what that means to us as real estate agents trying to put a deal together is they can sign a grant deed. Because a grant deed is usually in the deceased name still. And how is their son or their brother or uncle or whoever that's not on title, how are they going to sign the grant deed over to our buyer? And how is the title company going to insure title if they don't have that authority? Well, these letters give them that authority. The title company is going to want what's called a notice of proposed action. All that is a notice that goes to the heirs and tells them what the price and terms were of the sale that the personal rep just accepted, and these heirs have 15 days to contest it. You have to know how to deal with these heirs if they do contest. There's certain things that we do to ensure that we're still going to get our deal, and this is how we train. The estate attorney is going to have to give a statement regarding the federal taxes that title will want, that the federal taxes are in order. That's usually a no-brainer. It just comes on their letterhead, and I'll show you an example of that in a minute. Now, if we're going through the confirmation of sale process, which is the old style in California, the old school way of probating, then we're going to have a confirmation of sale certified notice, which means the court approved the sale in court, and they issued this confirmation of sale document. It's certified. We give that to title, and now we can close that escrow. That's if you're going to court confirmation with limited authority. Remember, most of the time, 85% of the time, 90% of the time, we're not doing the old court confirmation. We're doing the Independent Administration of Estates Act way to go and sell a property in probate with full authority. So what does these forms look like? Well, here is letters of administration. And all this is, number one, it explains that it's for administration, that they're going for certified letters. Number two is just showing that this person is going to be approved to be the administrator of the estate. And number three is that they're applying to be the personal rep, is to be authorized under the Independent Administration of Estates Act with full authority. Bingo. When my researchers see that, then that tells us that we can possibly strike a flip deal, an investor deal here, right? Now, the other one is basically the same form, but this is when there's an executor involved. And that means that they check the box up top that they're going through testamentary, letters of testamentary. This is the way they want to go. They're still applying to go through the independent administrations with full authority. And it shows that they were approved and certified, and this is the form that the estate attorney arranges and prepares. We get a copy of that. It's accessible to us without even going to an attorney if we don't want to. We can get it out of file at court, and we send that to the title company. We have to have what's called a notice of proposed action that the title company wants. It's a form that goes out to all the heirs that the estate attorney prepares. informing them that the executor or administrator sold the property, what the price and terms are, and if these heirs contest this or don't agree to the sale, then they have to sign the back of this form, send it back to the estate attorney contesting the sale, and everything stops. And then if we can't work it out between the family members, we have to go to court confirmation process. Now, in 30 years of doing this, I've had 3 that were contested. I was able to work all 3 of them out without having to go to the court confirmation process. And it's just usually because there's a miscommunication among the family. But the title company will want this, and that's for the notice of proposed action. Now, to deal with the federal tax statement from the attorney, it'll be on the letterhead, and the estate attorney will say there's no federal taxes due at this time. And also in this particular one that this estate attorney did, he also made a statement that it's a sole heir. The administrator is a sole heir, so there's no notice of proposed action. Boom. We had everything that the title company wanted, and we could close that escrow if everything else was in order, just like a regular sale. So let's talk about the timeline in a probate. It's important to know. So the day a petition is filed, either by the estate attorney or the PR, that's day 1. Things are going to start moving in process. The first thing is that the PR is going to petition the estate to become approved to be either the executor or administrator. And that's going to take on average about 30 to 45 days. Once they're approved, a couple things happen. That PR will have anywhere from 90 to 120 days that the court will instruct for them to get everything done on the duties and liabilities checklist. These are the tasks that the PR has to do for the deceased. And if they don't get these done in time, they could be liable to the court. There could be fine. It could be even worse than that. So it's a very trying period for these PRs. Also, when that PR is approved to be the executor administrator, the notice of creditor period starts. And that's a 4-month process that has to be played out where any creditor can bring a claim or an invoice that the deceased owed them money, and they can put it into the file, and they're going to get paid at family distribution time. But if they miss the 4 months, they're out of it. But the PR has to look for these creditors, got to look through records of the deceased, check credit reports, all this stuff. Horrendous process for them to go through. But what did we just do? We just used up 5 months. So a lot of times I have the question, that means I got to wait 5 months for my deal to go through? And no, that is not right. We're talking about the probate now. Let's say during the 30 days we bought the property, the PR is approved to be the executor, we buy it, and we can close it in 15 days. So we're done in 45 days when this petition was filed from day 1, and boom, we're done. We get the house, our clients get the house, we get our commission, the estate funds, the net proceeds go to the estate bank account. They don't have access to them yet until final distribution, which is going to be another couple months down the road. So, but it's very important that you understand this and explain this to the estate. Otherwise, you'll have clients that are very unhappy when they find out at the close of escrow they can't touch their money for maybe another 4 or 5 months. So the pros understand this, and we explain all this to our clients way up front. Now, final distribution, which means the probate process is over, takes about 7 months, start to finish on average. They've been longer, but on average about 7 months. So it'll take that long before the estate can access their funds. So you got to make sure they understand that. Then we always like to talk to the estate about the fees that they're going to be inquiring. Some of the fees will be the estate attorney fee that's going to be based on the statutory percentage of the assets of the estate. And you're going to have an executor or administrator fee, whichever one they are, which is going to be for the same fee based on the same sliding scale of asset value. And they're going to be able to collect that just like the attorney. Now, the good news about the executor administrator fee is when you're doing a probate, maybe it's a short sale, probate short sale. I have 2 of them going right now. Probate reverse mortgage short sale, even worse. Well, there's no equity, but I was able to get these deals and put them together. We double-ended one of them, and I'm getting ready to double-end the other one. And each of these executors are going to be receiving the administrator fee, which is the only money out of the short sale, because, of course, there's no equity. And you have to know what you're doing because we have to fight for these fees sometimes, and there's a certain process that we do So the banks who say no at first usually always cave in, and we get these fees for our clients. So the fee, the way it's calculated, is it's a sliding scale. Now this is California based, okay? And on the first 100,000 of asset value, the court's going to charge you. The estate attorney's going to charge 4%, and then on the next 100,000, it'll be 3%. On the next 100,000 or up to 300,000, it will be 2% of that, and then it's 1% up to the next 9 million, and then after that, it goes crazy. You'll probably never get a deal where you're in that over $9 million. And what that looks like on a $500,000 sale is this: it's basically $13,000. Well, that's the same fee that the estate executor or administrator can receive. And when you realize that and you're looking at a short sale, that's a good way to approach the estate, and it'll pick you up 2 or 3 extra deals a year that way. Now, there's some things that you should know about probates and why you should be working them. And first of all, you're going to be able to receive, like we do around here in the Bay Area, 100 to 200 new leads every month that come across your desk, 40 to 60 a week if you're in the San Francisco Bay Area. All my agent partners have access to them. The ones that are out of area, we supply them with leads by hooking up affiliates for them or training them how to get their own leads. We are now moving into Stanislaus County, like I said, Merced, Stockton, Sacramento, where those leads will be incorporated into our system. Monterey leads, Shasta County leads, into Chico leads. We have Las Vegas leads. We have St. Paul, Minneapolis. We have a team there, and we're now going into Florida with a new agent partner that just came on board. So as you can see, we have no lack of leads, and we can work anywhere, anytime on these leads. Well, that's what you're going to get by working this niche. We're going to show you how to avoid the court process and close these out in 10, 15, 35 days max. How to have less competition that I talked about. How to work under the MLS, not in it. MLS, I hate the word. Of course, we love it when we have a listing to sell that we have to take for a flip investor. But for the most part, I hate working as an agent in that climate because you're chasing the same properties that 3,000 other agents are. There's multiple offers, over asking offers. It's just a terrible place to work. With probate, most of the time we're working on a property and we're the only offer, okay? As I said, you'll take more listings, you'll double end more deals, which means you're going to earn bigger paydays. You're going to work less hours because more paydays per deal or larger income per deal means you could work less, like I did in the 90s when I got involved in the probates. I wanted to work less to be with my kids. So I wanted to make 3 times on each deal that I was doing then back in the late 80s, and probate gave me that, and I was able to cut my time down 2/3. But your reasons could be for whatever you want. And one of the most important reasons to work probates is we're working with motivated sellers. These are heirs that are getting, for the most part, free money. Occasionally, it'll be a spouse that's still left, but very rarely on that. And we deal with them with kid gloves. Of course, they lost, their husband or their wife. But for the most part, it's motivated sellers, kids, family, friends, husbands, brothers, or uncles, or whatever, and it's just free money to them. It's a lot of an easier environment to work in. So let's talk about the 5 ways that we earn now. First level that we go into looking at a probate property is what we call level 1, and that's where we're representing a flip investor. We're going to try and buy the property at the proper 70 cents on the dollar, let's fix up. And if we buy that as is, all cash, then our investor is going to fix that property and flip it and make their spread on it. Now, when we sell that probate to the investor of ours on an estate that is willing to do that, and a lot of them are because they just don't want the headache. They don't want the property on their plate anymore. They want to go back to Oklahoma and not have to move into this thing watching it so there's no vandalism going on. But when we sell that to an investor, they're going to pay us 4 to 6%, depending on the equity we're passing through to them. We do not charge the estate, okay, any commission. Now that means we double-ended, right? 2 sides right there. Then when the property is rehabbed, that investor to be in our program has to list it with us, and we're going to get another 2% there going out on the listing. And we're going to have a 2.5% sales commission on that exit strategy listing that many times we'll earn that as well because we'll resell that listing that we just put on for our investor because we spend all our time working on our own properties. We don't work on other agents' properties, okay? Doesn't make sense to me to do that unless you absolutely have nothing. And all we do is go find more off market properties until we find something that fits for our client. But anyway, on a $500,000 sale, it's possible under this circumstance to earn $48,000. Where if you were getting a full three on the listing side, you'd make 15. Okay? So that's a big incentive to learn this niche the way we do it. Now, what I tell everybody that asks me, how many of these can I do a year? I tell them all the same. I've been saying this now since I've been teaching this for 20 plus years. Is if you're doing one double end flip with an investor or quarter, you're doing very good. Now we have years that we've done 6, 8 of them in great years, but on average, it averaged out about 4 per year. But if you have a potential to make $48,000 and you do 4 of those, one a quarter, that's multiple 6 figures for you on 4 deals, folks. That involved a couple listings and things like that. Probably a total of 8 transactions for you. That's a great living on its own. So that is great. But what happens when the estate says, Gary, we can't take 70 cents on the dollar. We need a little bit more money. We got a lot of heirs here, and we have to help them relocate and whatever. Well, when that happens, we talk to them about our level 2 program. Okay, so you can't go the investor route. You need more money. Well, we will bring you a buyer for your property, either a retail buyer that's looking to move in and can pay more, or a landlord that will pay more for it because it's a good rental. We have these type of buyers in our database, so we'll go out and find them for you because you don't want to go to the MLS, you told us. You don't want all that red tape, signs out, people tramping in and out, banks, appraisals, inspections. So this is how we'll do it. And if we bring you that, we still won't charge you a commission because the buyer will pay us. And that's how we do our level 2s. And this is where we stay the most busy at, folks, is with level 2s. And that's what we do when we can't sell a probate property to a flip investor. We'll go out and find a whole investor or a retail buyer. Many times they're in our database already. And we're going to double end that sale. Now, we're not getting the third side, the listing, because the move-in buyer is keeping it or the landlord's keeping it. And we're not getting the fourth side, which is reselling that listing. But we're still double ending it, and that's great. When those people decide to do something later on, whenever that is, we'll be their realtor of choice because we'll have them in our database as well. So with level 3 now, let's say level 1 and 2 didn't work. We had nobody to fit that parameters, no buyers for it, retail landlords, and we come back and talk to the estate, say, look, the only other way for us to go at this point, because we tried to get you what you wanted, nobody's willing to pay your price. We've put it out there everywhere. If you want to shoot for this price that you're holding to, we're going to have to go put it on the market. Now, at this point, we're talking MLS, and you should have built a relationship the way we train our agent partners with that is so good, and they know so well that you're a probate expert in the team that you work with, that you're probably the number one agent that's going to get a shot of getting that listing. And then you put it up there and you work it like you would normally do. This is the only time that we will ask the seller for a commission because there has to be one to pay the listing agent and the selling agent, right? And we're going to try to get them retail for the property. Now, the next level is level 4. This is that old court confirmation process that I told you about. It rears its ugly head again. This is the original way and still going strong in California, although it's not used but maybe 10-15% of the time now by attorneys. But sometimes it has to be used because heirs are fighting, or there is just doubt from the court that the PR is going to be able to handle this, so they'll put limited authority. So with the court confirmation process, what they require when a sale is going through the court is that any buyer that's coming along has to put a 10% deposit down just to make an offer. Now that means if your FHA or VA buyer is buying a $500,000 house from you, they have to put up 50 grand. Is that possible? No. The VA is no down. FHA is 3.5% down. How are they going to come up with 50 grand? So what that means, the estate loses about 60 to 70% of the buyers that probably would have offered a high retail offer on that property because that's what VA and FHA buyers do. And they lost all that chance of that because the court put this 10% deposit rule into play. Also, the court says whatever that non-licensed appraiser appraised the property for, you can't sell your property any less than 90% of that appraisal. So if you appraise it at 100, you can't sell it for any less than 90. So how does an investor buy that property, even if the estate wanted him to? And what if the property is really only worth 90 and the appraiser appraised it at 100? And you can't pay any less than 90, you're paying full market for you. What's that going to do to the chance of that house selling? Okay. So it just strings out the process. Now you have to know how to work these probate referees, how to change appraisals. I've done them and it can be done. And again, that's what we teach our agent partners. But also that buyer has to wait 6 to 8 weeks to get to the court calendar. Once that happens, everything's in order. You're going to have a court confirmation of sales schedule. And then at that confirmation, the probate referee, the court referee they call them, is going to ask if there's any other bidders interested in making a bid in court. And you can have overbidders come up and outbid your client that's been waiting for that property for 2.5 months. Not a place to work from. So we bypass that most of the time. And the way I teach my agent partners is when you find one of these, you just notify us. We're going to work it with you and do the deal. We split it 50-50. Make sure that your buyer doesn't lose any deposits. Make sure everything goes right. You don't have any egg on your face, okay? Now, level 5, one of my favorite levels, is farming probates. Now, I told you up front, all these leads that come across our desks every week, some of them are now business up front, and the rest of them can be later business, future business for us. And what this means is once the probate has gone through 7 months on average to final distribution, probate is over, the estate heirs have now taken title to the property, everything is done, we still continue to market that property because they haven't sold. And that is now our farm. Just like you would have a farm of 500 homes your broker told you to establish and become the broker of choice in that subdivision by having your branding, your company branding, your picture, your contact information everywhere, your newsletters out, distributing your flags, whatever else that you do, garage sale signs, and you're the choice that most realtors are going to call when they have a real estate need. Well, we do the same thing. The difference with our farm is it's made up of heirs that just inherited homes or they've been sitting on them for a while, free and clear, with hundreds of thousands of dollars of equity, and they're going to get a niche. Because what happens is when probate ends, that one of three things happens. The heir that inherited, took title to the property, decides they're going to move into it. Great, they got a house now. Number two, the family takes it over, maybe 2 or 3 of the kids, they're all owning it together, and one of them decides they're going to move into it and they'll rent it. Or 3, they decide, well, let's go into the rental business. We're going to be landlords. We're going to rent it out and start our, empire in the rental business. And they put a tenant at large in. So what happens over a period of time, we don't know, there's not a set time, but what happens really quick, usually within the first year, is that the heir that moved into it decides that, we're sitting on all this money, and this is really not the neighborhood we want to be. Let's sell and move over to that neighborhood we want to be. Or the heir that was paying rent says, you know what, money's tight right now. I want to stop paying rent and then just take my share and then deduct any rent that I haven't paid until we sell the property. Or the tenants that are in the house have stopped paying rent or they're beating up the property, paying late. They're calling you for everything to come over and fix, or they're growing weed in the house. Now you got problems there. So what happens in all these situations is it provokes a sale. They want to get rid of this property. And if you're marketing these properties to these people after the probate process is done and life is back to normal, and now you're becoming the agent of choice as far as subliminally, your face, your branding, your contact information, your newsletter, news about just sold, just listed is still going to them. Do you think you're going to have a good shot to be at least the first agent they call or one of the 3 that they interview? I'm telling you, you will. And this will bring a whole nother array of business that nobody works. And if you do this, maybe that's all you do is learn how to farm probates that didn't sell. This will be a very viable business for you. Now, if you decide, we're almost done here, if you decide you want to add probates to your team, there's a couple ways to go. But I want to explain the support team that we have here. So it's myself, of course. I'm going to be the trainer. I'm going to teach everyone how to do what we do on probates. I have an 8-week course I put my agent partners through, and I train them on everything. I break the whole system down. A little bit more on that in a minute. Gary Jr. handles all of the leads. He's a team builder here with us at EXP. He's been Mike Ferry trained, expert in lead generation. He trains our agent partners on conversion and C Inc. CRMs that we use to generate our leads. We have Ray Marquez, who's my #1 probate student. Came around with me about 4 years ago. I taught him at one of my weekend boot camps, and he took and ran with the probate business. Does a ton of business. He also became the EXP broker of record for California. Great guy, great broker, is with us in probates. All of us work together to keep our agent partners alive with probates, keep them trained on a monthly basis, do deals with them, and all that. Now, there's a couple ways to go. First of all, if you're happy where you're at, you really don't want to rock your boat, you just want this information because you want to learn probates, then all you got to do is we'll send you online where I've been for 20 plus years, and you'll go there and you can buy everything. The course, all the scripts, the recorded trainings that are there, everything is going to cost you $4.99. Now, we're not interested in your $4.99. We're interested in developing probate dealers, probate agents that will bring deals to us, because we're going to do your first 1 to 3 with you because you need us to hold your hands. And what we do, if you buy the course, that's the way you elect to go. You don't want to be a partner agent with us. Then on that first probate that you close with us, we're going to refund your $4.99 to you. Okay? We just want you to have some skin in the game so you do this, because once you close one probate, you'll never go back. You'll be working probates for the rest of your life. You'll see how great it is. You'll never revert back to what you were doing without probates. Now, if you want more, I have a mentorship program that I've been teaching agents and investors for years, and that's a little bit more hands-on. I do a one-on-one training with them. It's an hour a week. We go through 8-9 sessions. I break down the whole system, but I charge them $1,500 for that. That's a lot of money, but I give them the same option. Okay, I'm going to do this and spend the time with you, but I want you to bring deals. You do 3 deals with us, and each one of those that we close will refund you $500 each time. So after the 3rd deal, you'll get your whole $1,500 back. You now know the probate business, and you can stand alone. So those are the choices if you just want to move forward on your own and get your training. Now, what we hope that you want to do is that you want to partner with us. Actually work with Ray and Gary Jr. and myself, become part of our team, and have a designated area that we're going to work with you and dedicate to you and train you. All that $4.99 material you get it absolutely free. The $1,500 mentorship training over an 8-9 week period, you get that for free and more. We're constantly training. We provide you all the leads for free wherever you're at, but you got to be a partner agent with us, and you have to qualify to be that agent with us. So if you are interested in that, you are all going to receive a link after this webinar is done, and we're just about done. That's going to give you a link to a webinar tomorrow that Gary Jr. is doing. I think you'll get a couple time frames on it for tomorrow, and he's going to explain how to partner with us. And he's going to open your eyes on what your real estate business can really be to you and how you can actually build family generational wealth. You want to take this. And then when it's done, you decide what you want. We'll show you how to get what you want. Just get the course, whatever you want to do. I thank you very much for taking the time. I did go over 8 minutes today. I'm sorry, but this is very important information to you and your business. I want you to be one of those probate agents that is a success story, that is doing 6 figures with it or more, and build a team like we have. And there's only one way of doing that, and that's to jump in and educate and invest in yourself. So look for that link. It's going to come to you. Check your spam. Make sure you get it. You'll get that link. You'll be invited to it tomorrow. That's about 30 minutes that Gary will show you how to partner with us and get this thing going. I look forward to meeting you. Hope we do. I hope we're going to partner together and go on to better things with our business. Happy 2018 to you. Best of business.